Welcome back to episode 10. We have now reached double digits with the Pocket Jacks podcast. Back for another week. Recapping week 8 and going to start going over and previewing week 9. A lot of news to break down. And first thing I want to start with, Jack, is the coaches just keep falling. We saw Jay Norvell go this week. We saw Billy Napier from Florida go this week. Jay Norvell from Colorado State. They continue to go. We're maybe at 10 by now, and we're about a loss away on a few other teams to getting some more, like LSU, Florida State. You probably know it. Auburn is a great one. But it is just a domino effect at this point.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see, too, because of the quality of some of these jobs. It wasn't as much last year, but 2 years ago, where you have a Penn State, you have a Florida, an Auburn. Those guys are probably going to be plucking from head coaches, so it's kind of a domino effect where it's like, okay, Penn State hires a coach, but now we need to find a new coach for Illinois, just thinking of an example. Not that they're going to hire Bielema, but it's going to be an interesting domino because it will go way down the chain, way farther than you would ever expect. I think when DeBoer went to Alabama, Washington hired Fish, so then Arizona had to get to a new coach, and they hired the San Jose State coach, and then San Jose State pretty much gets left without a coach by the end of it. So it's going to be actually a very interesting offseason with the coaches. I can't wait. I find that exciting.
Yeah, and I just want to ask you, with all these jobs being available, so we can just go top 5, your best 5 college football coaching jobs in America right now.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of people put Florida at 1, but in my opinion, I think Penn State is just a tiny bit ahead of Florida. They're really interchangeable, so I'll go Penn State at 1, Florida at 2. Assuming Auburn comes open, I think it's almost a guarantee. Auburn at 3, and then maybe Arkansas at 4 and Florida State at 5, and then UCLA, Virginia Tech, probably Wisconsin, except maybe they're staying with them, are kind of in that same bucket to me where they're not quite that Class A job, but they're still good jobs. I mean, don't get me wrong. Virginia Tech, UCLA, Wisconsin, those schools have money, and a lot of people will be happy to take those.
Yeah, and I hear rumors of Fickle. I don't know. That sounds like he might actually be staying now, which
is
kind of weird. Yeah. Well, crazy last week, and it started early in the week on Friday, where everyone saw Louisville take down Miami, a team that we had thought looked like one of the best teams in the country, and knocked them down to 9, I believe, in the AP. So that was exciting. Vandy has an electric win to secure your lock. They look good. I'm glad that the world is now finding out about Pavia. We've been pumping Pavia's tires for the last year, so I'm happy that the world is now introduced to the great Diego Pavia. A lot of good games. It was a fun weekend. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I thought Ole Miss Georgia was one of the best games of the year. There wasn't a single punt until the fourth quarter. Georgia actually never got stopped, and their defense kind of hardens up, stops them twice in the fourth quarter, and just completely dominates them and goes from down 9 to covering 7.5, which is crazy. Alabama, Tennessee, that pick 6 at the end of the half from Alabama was one of the better crowd pops I've heard in a while. It might be the crowd pop of the year. I'm on the over in that game, and I'm watching it with a buddy, and we're both on the over, and we're like, all right, Tennessee, you have to score here. You have to score. We got to score. It just wasn't Tennessee. Didn't end up working out for us. We got to review that last play. Those who know, you know. Could have been a touchdown there. No review. Great win by your Irish, too. Jeremiah Love, as advertised, looked amazing this week.
Yeah, he looked unbelievable. They had kind of similar situation with, little different, but like Notre Dame, you get the USC long drive, cut it within 3, kick return. Huge play, changes the entire momentum of the game. Alabama, Tennessee, you just talked about it. You get the huge play before halftime with a score, and it just changes the entire complexion of the game. But yeah, that was a good win for Notre Dame. Jeremiah Love looked great. It was pouring in South Bend. Our
Yeah.
last week's guest, Jack Burns, was there enjoying it. Maybe had a few tears to shed while he was there. So
And I think the most important part of last week, we hit a parlay. It happened. We
we hit a
finally hit
parlay.
a parlay.
I was gonna say we're gonna get through some of those picks from the last week, and we hit a parlay first week of the year as a collective, and then
Yep.
you hit your lock. I missed my lock, so it evens us out. We're in a foot race now between the two of us. We're both at 5-4 in the lock. I continue to miss dogs for the entire season, so I'm just going to shoot for the fences from here on out and just go value play. Um, so, but yeah, it wasn't too bad. I think I went 3-4 on the card, right around that
Yeah.
500 mark, just a little below 500. And what were you at, Jack?
Yeah, I was 2-5, but God, it was close. Doesn't count in betting, but man, I was real close to going 5-2 there. I have the Notre Dame over, which just felt cursed. I don't know what it was about that. I mean, there had to be 2 or 3 red zone turnovers, maybe 2 or 3 turnovers inside the 5. Alabama, Tennessee, I'm already complained about it with the last play not getting reviewed. And then you were on the other side of the fence, and it was kind of the difference of our week. But Georgia, they sucked that one out. That was a crazy cover, but God, that game was just so good that it was like, yeah, it sucked not to hit the bet, but I was just happy to be watching too.
Yeah. It's funny because the 3 bets that I hit last week were all SEC bets. Alabama, Georgia, Vandy. So,
So, and then Auburn is officially on my no bet list. Losing in double OT, I've been getting roasted on Auburn all year. I'm I'm Team Fire Hugh Freeze at this point. I'm out on Auburn. I'm done.
well, they are like right there on every single
I know.
game and just cannot get over the hump. And that is like to credit the like Hugh Freeze thing. Like he's just not really taking that next step for him, but they're so close. So yeah, that one's kind of inevitable. We'll see. But
It
let's
feels.
get into
Did
it.
you see?
Oh,
Did
go
you
ahead.
see one real quick with Auburn? So you said it earlier how Fickle was like he got pretty much a vote of confidence from the AD and
Yeah.
whoever, and Hugh Freeze was like, "Well, it would be nice if Auburn did that for me," and they were like, "Dude, you're getting fired. We're not giving you a vote of confidence." Like that's just a wild thing for a coach to say in a press conference.
Yeah, that's tough. Um, well, getting into some of our questions here, some of our, I don't know, just kind of for fun stuff that we like to start the show off with. I'm going to start here first, and I'm coming at you this week with, I'm going to call it overrated, underrated, and properly rated. So, how it's going to work is I'm going to give you 5 teams. I'm going to give you their ranking along with who it is, and you have to just quickly tell me, are they overrated, are they underrated, or are they properly rated in the AP poll? So it doesn't need to be anything extensive, but let's just go down the list here. First one, we're going from highest ranked seeds to lowest ranked. Number
Okay.
9, Miami.
I think they're properly rated. I think they did what they've showed throughout the year that they've been good, but they can't be a top 5 team after losing to an unranked ACC opponent at home. So I'm good with Miami being at 9. I still think they're a
Perfect.
top 10 team, but yeah.
Perfect. Number 11, BYU.
Well, I think they're properly rated in the AP poll, but in general, I still think BYU is a little overrated. Did the same thing last year. Very curious to see how BYU wraps the season up.
Perfect. Number 12, Notre Dame.
I think properly rated. I think they're better than the number 12 team in the country, but you still have to respect the games they have played at this point in the season. I think 12 is a good spot for them, but I think they're going to keep going up. And goddamn, they look good this week.
Yeah. 2 more here. 18,
Okay.
University of South Florida.
I'm going underrated. I think they could be ranked a little bit higher. Their only loss being Miami, a team we just talked about. They beat Boise, beat Florida on the road. Huge game this week. North Texas, South Florida looks legit, and they're my G5 school right now.
Perfect. I like that. I was thinking the same thing there. And then last, finish it off, number 24, Arizona State.
That's a tough one for me because I don't like saying you should just throw a game out, but not having Levitt against Utah. I mean, we saw it. They're just a completely different team with him at QB. So I think 24 is a good spot for him, but I'm not. They're not dead in the Big 12 at all right now.
Yeah, and kind of building off that point of maybe not throwing one thing out, but at the same time throwing one thing out. Their losses against Mississippi State. They're one play away from winning that game, and then
Yeah.
you have a massive win this week and a top 10 opponent in Texas Tech. So they are fighting to stay alive in that Big 12 champion or Big 12 conference.
Yeah, Levitt is a stud. All right.
Yeah.
Well, since we'll keep it going on the AP poll, but mine's a little bit different. So I'm going to lay the scene for you, and then I'll get into the question. So if you have the AP poll pulled up, I went back and looked at the Week 9 AP poll last season. And last year, Iowa State, LSU, Miami, and BYU were all ranked in the top 12 and missed the playoffs. And on the flip side, Boise, SMU, Indiana, and Arizona State, who wasn't even ranked, were outside of the top 12 and made the playoffs. So I want you to go into the AP poll and pick two teams that are currently in the top 12 that are not going to make the playoffs, and two teams that are not in the top 12 that are going to make the playoffs.
Oh,
If
I
that makes
love
sense.
this. I love this. Yeah, this is awesome because you know it's going to happen. Okay, yeah,
Absolutely.
I really like that. It's tough because this year you have the SEC, and the SEC is so deep. There's so many teams up there. But first one just catches my eye. Well,
It's tough.
it is tough because I want to say Georgia Tech, but I don't know who Georgia Tech has remaining on their schedule. So I'm
They have
not. I'm
Georgia.
not going to. They have Georgia, and then they'll play in the ACC
They dodge
championship,
Miami.
probably, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, we'll keep them up there. You know what? We're gonna go Georgia Tech because I think they drop a game at some point. I just it's gonna be one that nobody expects. So they drop a random game, they lose to Georgia, and then if they make the ACC championship, they lose in the ACC championship. Three losses, they're out. Um, Next one inside the top 12 that I'm gonna take to exit the top 12 and not make the playoff is gonna be. I'm gonna go Ole Miss. Uh,
All right.
they're 6-1 right now. They've got the conference loss, and they also have Oklahoma on deck this week with a very brutal remaining SEC schedule. If they lose another game in their regular season and end up making the SEC championship, I don't think they win that. That's three losses. They're out. So Ole Miss and Georgia Tech as the two teams
Okay.
exiting the top 12. And then outside of the top 12, the teams that I have coming in and entering Texas Tech, they're at number
Yep.
14. I think they're the best team in the Big 12 even after last week and losing that game. I still think they win the Big 12 and get in. And then the other team I'm going to go with, and
South Florida's kind of a freebie, kind of, but it's
yeah,
still not guaranteed.
I mean, I'm going to go South Florida, honestly, because I think they get that G5 spot. They've looked phenomenal to me. So they win out. They go into the playoffs with one loss. Probably get like I don't know, 12, 11, 10, something like that. Maybe 9 if they're lucky. But yeah, we'll go Texas Tech to win the Big 12 and make it. And then we have South Florida to get that G5 spot and make it.
Yeah, what kind of sparked me on that is I was like, I'm gonna go look last year and kind of see how different it was because it feels like we're starting to. I mean, we're definitely in the meat of the season. Kind of. I mean, it's almost November. College football playoff poll is about to start coming out. So as far into the season as we are, there's still a lot of football to be played in any given Saturday with the way college football is anymore. So I can't
Yep.
wait to see where this
I
goes.
I'm kind of in the same boat. Like I'm looking through this slate, and it's like I see all these games. I feel like I know so much about these teams now. it's getting better. Like it's getting easier to look at these teams go on the road and maybe be in a really bad back-to-back spot or coming off a bye and the other team's on a really bad back-to-back spot. It's just a little bit easier to kind of break down than it is in week one when you're going in blind and Texas is ranked number 3 in the country. So obviously that wasn't very right.
Well, I got another one for you here if you want to go snake draft.
Yeah, you go one more, and then I only have one more remaining. So,
Okay. Well, so I looked up right now on DraftKings. The top 3 favorites for the Heisman currently are Fernando Heismandoza, is what they're calling him at Indiana. Ty Simpson from Alabama, and then Julian Sayin. Right now, if I could say you can pick one of those 3, or I'll give you the rest of the field, who are you taking for Heisman? You taking the field, or are you taking one of those 3 right now? And for example, the field would be like Pavia,
yeah,
Jeremiah Love, that kind of
I
player.
I would take one of those 3. Do I have to give you who it is?
Sure, but I was kind of just curious if you take top 3 or
Okay.
field.
I would take the top 3, and it's tough. I think that it comes down to Indiana and Ohio State both have a cakewalk for the rest of the year. They both make the
Yeah.
Big Ten championship, and it comes down to Julian Sayin and Fernando Mendoza in the Big Ten championship. I give it to Julian Sayin. He's just been quietly lurking around, and nobody's really talking about. I know he's third, but nobody's really talking to him. He's coming off a 400-yard week with 4 touchdowns. I think 250 of it came in the first half, so the second half was quiet. But yeah, nobody's talking about him. But to me, his stock is just increasing week after week.
Yeah, I like it. I'm kind of leaning Simpson right now, but I just have this, we're the biggest Pavia guys out there. I'm like, if Vandy gets to 11-1 somehow and runs the table, he is going to be that media darling. And the Heisman, like we know, it's a media award at the end of the day.
Travis Hunter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that. That's what worries me about Ty Simpson is, I don't know how many games Bama's really going to end up winning. If Vandy does win those games and gets to that point, that would be awesome because I would be rooting for that for sure. It's great to root for the underdog. And at this point, they're not even underdogs anymore, but it's Pavia, so it's still hard to root
And,
against him.
and in case you're curious, he was 4th in the odds. So it's
Okay.
those 3, and then Pavia I think was like plus 900 range. So there's a little bit of a drop off. That's kind of where I drew the line. Is those 3 were pretty close in odds, all plus 400 or better, and then the next was Pavia at it's either plus 750 or plus 900, but a little bit of a gap there.
Okay. Sweet. Next series that I want to go here is I'm going to call it Contender Pretender. I kind of got this idea from Joel Klatt. He's an announcer. He's a former college football quarterback. He is a podcaster. He is just very involved in the sports world, especially college football. So, Contender Pretender, you just tell me, do you think they're contenders to win a national championship this year, or are they pretenders? Do they even make a national championship, or whatever you want to define pretender? First one on the slate, Indiana.
For strictly national championship purposes, I'm still going pretender. I might be a hater. Maybe it's the name. I cannot see Indiana winning the national championship this year. Now, I could see them making a deep run in the playoffs.
Okay, I like it. Georgia Tech.
Pretender. Great story. I would love to see them, but they're going to play that upper echelon of the SEC, and we've seen it a million times with the talent disparity on the line of scrimmage. I would love to see it. I love Georgia Tech.
Vandy.
I'll go contender.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. The thing that's a little different about Vandy this year is they have dudes. Like, their receivers against LSU, I was like, they have better receivers than LSU, who is probably wide receiver U in the NFL. Pavia's just a playmaker. I'm going contender on Vandy.
Love it, love it. And now getting into the upset of the week last week, Miami.
I'm still going to go contender just because I think their line of scrimmage is so awesome. You had a great point when we were talking about it because I was like, I knew Cristobal was going to shit down his leg, and it was almost a little bit more of Carson Beck throwing 4 picks. Like, can you really blame that on the head coach? But Miami's got the roster to do it, in my opinion.
Love it. And last one, BYU.
Pretender. I'm still not even sold on BYU getting in the playoffs. They're dogs this week against Iowa State. They're playing good, but true freshman QB. If the QB wore number like 17 and not 47 or whatever he wears, that would maybe switch my eyes on it a little bit. But something about just seeing a QB wearing number 47, I'm like, that is not a national championship contender.
Perfect. Yep, that's all I got for you.
I like it. Well, I had one little rant that I wanted to get off before we jump into the week, and it's not even really a rant as much as I kind of wanted to hear your take on it. But you and I and all big college football fans, we're getting up before the games and we're watching College Game Day. College Game Day shifted a little bit. They've gone fully corporate. They've gone to 5 SEC games, 3 Big Tens, and 1 ACC. And that ACC game was Miami, Florida, where there was an SEC team in it. Jelly Roll was the guest picker with a Luke Combs concert. Nothing to do with Georgia. This week they're going to Vandy, which we like, but we have North Dakota State and South Dakota State in the FCS, a 1v2. In my opinion, it just feels like Game Day is going more for the TV ratings and kind of a money grab compared to how it used to be there for the atmosphere and the fans. I look at even like Big Noon Kickoff as a comparison, went to BYU, Utah last week in Provo. And they're just in the middle of the fans. They're in it with the atmosphere where Game Day's all up high. Like, I know McAfee does a good job, but it just feels like it's built for TV, not built for college football anymore. So I'm interested to see if you have any takes on it. I'm still not a Game Day hater, but it's just a little different than it used to be.
Yeah, it's different than it used to be. To me, it's different in like a better way. I know maybe you don't agree with that, but like for example, I don't know who doesn't. There's people that don't like McAfee. I like McAfee. I think that the energy that he brings to Game Day is kind of unmatched. That's what you need in that like college setting with all those 20-year-olds getting drunk, partying. McAfee's great. Bringing Nick Saban on is great. Obviously, you still have Herb Street. I love College Game Day. They have, switched over to getting. I think that is because they want more views and they want more ratings, more money, more revenue, more everything. But they're doing the kick. That's awesome. I didn't know about the concert. That's cool. I mean, I know it doesn't have anything to do with it, but it's a concert, so you got Luke Combs playing. That's cool. And then the last thing is, I think they still do a good job of encapsulating the college football tradition. So, like, all the songs that everyone sings and showing the fans and showing the signs in the background. The signs are great every week. They do a good job of getting that in. It isn't the same as it used to be, but that's excuse me. That's why I love college football is the tradition and all the camaraderie that goes along outside the game, with the school. All the songs are amazing, but I don't know. I still, obviously, you said you're never going to really hate Game Day. You got to get up for Game Day. It's pretty awesome. So
yeah, no, I'm still always. I'm not like trying to hate on Game Day as much as I just wish they were a little bit. They go to different places rather than going to Alabama and Georgia 3 times a year each, and kind of it's like you see the crowds at those game days, and they're not even really packed anymore compared to when they went to Wazoo or they go to these smaller schools. It's like the biggest thing that they have all year. So I don't know. I just kind of wanted to get it off my chest more than anything. I'm still going to watch Game Day. I still like Game Day. I don't know. Last week didn't have the buzz that it usually does. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really, it's not like a formulated take. I don't hate Game Day, like I said. I wish they would have went to North Dakota State, South Dakota State this week, honestly. It was the perfect spot.
yeah, it was the perfect spot. And I get that, and there's a lot of people I think that are kind of in the same boat with you that like they're starting to like hate on game day for just going to all these SEC schools. But to me, I don't hate that because I love these SEC atmospheres so much and so dearly. Like if I could go to an SEC game every single week, I probably would. We're gonna figure out a donor that wants to fund the Pocket Jacks podcast to get us to go to one game a week. So,
You're not asking much.
so yeah, I mean, I get it. The SEC is it's just different. It is just very different. But this would have been a great spot to go to one of those FCS games because I don't know if you get it down the stretch anymore.
And it was probably something that was predictable once the SEC got the ABC contract. Like they're kind of, it's a self-promote, which I totally get all of it. It's just something that it's different.
Yeah, it is different. It's got a different vibe. But yeah, let's see. Let's get into some of these games this week. We've got a heck of a slate. It's not the most absurd thing in the world, but it is fantastic in my eyes. And let's just start off with a rivalry game. It's not the most exciting rivalry game, but it is a rivalry game, and it's a rivalry game where one side has won 16 straight. We are going to Lawrence, Kansas for Kansas State taking on Kansas in the Sunflower Showdown. Kansas State catching 2.5 coming into this with a total of 56.5. And like I said, Kansas State has won the last 6 in this matchup. This one's pretty cut and dry simple for me. I'm going to go straight away with it, and I'm going Kansas minus the 2.5. There's the 16-game win streak that you've got for Kansas State. That brings an incredible revenge factor. And I think the last 4 of them have been by between about 2, 3, 4, something like that. Very close games. And then you have Jalen Daniels on Kansas, 20, I don't know. He might as well be 30. He's been in college for so fucking long.
He graduated high school same time we did.
So he's coming back, and this is his last year. This is a game that he's lost, obviously, for the last few years, and it's just Kansas has to win this game. They have to. So Kansas laying the 2.5, rock chalk, Jayhawk. Let's go.
I like it. Well, I'm on the same thing here. I have one little nugget when I was just looking up this game. In 1987, they played this, and they just called it the Toilet Bowl. It was 1-7 Kansas versus 0-8 Kansas State, and the game ended 17-17 tie. Can you imagine being at that game? If somebody out there went to that game, please, we'll bring you on. I just want to hear about that game. That is just awesome. Toilet Bowl. That's literally just on Wikipedia. It was just like the Toilet Bowl is what it said. I was like, I have to bring this up. But go ahead.
It's not a toilet bowl, but it might as well be. Like Kansas State is so underwhelming. Avery Johnson is highly overrated. We were so high on Kansas State coming into the year, and I mean, neither of these teams have been anything to write home about, but they also aren't necessarily the worst teams in their conference. So just underwhelming. That's all.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I'm on the same boat. I'm on Kansas minus 2.5. I think this is a good time for them to break the streak. I love that it's at Kansas. Probably is just a pick, and I'm assuming the 2.5 is just the home field advantage, which I like it. We talked about a week 0, brand newly renovated stadium, so it'll be rocking for that game. I'm going to go with Kansas.
Sunflower Showdown, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, sunflowers.
Yeah, that was. I do like that one. I feel pretty good about that one. It's not a crazy game, not anything crazy exciting, but it's a rivalry game, so should be a good watch.
Did you find it? Why is that game not the last game of the season for those two schools?
I don't know.
I'm curious.
Because they are, they roll together in the same conference. I don't understand that.
Yeah. Whatever. Get it now. I like it.
Get in the middle of the year. It's like all the other new rivalries now. So let's head west. We'll go over to Seattle and let's go sailgating. Washington Huskies taking on the Fighting Illini. Number 23, Illinois going to Seattle. Washington laying 4.5, total of 54.5. Series of Washington leads 7-4 and has won the last four. Jack, what do you make of this? I've got some things written down here, but let's hear from you first here.
Yeah, I'm struggling on this game, if I'm being completely honest. Looking at both these teams, the Illini, their two losses are pretty respectable losses, I think you could say, against the number one and the number two team in the country, being Ohio State and Indiana. Neither of them were necessarily close, though. They got, especially Indiana, they got absolutely smoked. And then Washington, not quite the same, but they haven't lost to Ohio State, and then Michigan destroyed them this week, which I did not necessarily see coming. I think you and I both, obviously wasn't on our card, but both kind of liked Washington going into that game. But we've talked about it a million times. This is like a double system play for the Pocket Jacks podcast. We got the team that's in the center of the country traveling to the Pacific Northwest in the tip-top corner there, so it's a tough travel spot. And then to make it matters even better, it's the ranked team playing at an unranked team, and the unranked team is favorite. I'm going to try to sit on this one and see if I can get it a little closer to 3. I don't know if I will, but I'm leaning Washington right now. Nothing official, but my gut tells me Washington minus 4.5. Go with the home team. Sailgating.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say go Dogs.
It is the classic, we've talked about it all year with the lesser of a team favorited over the better team. We see that a lot, and we oftentimes hit in those spots. One thing I found on this game is kind of something I had kind of thought about it in my head, and then I started doing a little research on him. And so you talked about him actually earlier in the show, and that's Jedd Fisch from Washington. He's the coach there. He is a Florida graduate, and with that job coming open here, I almost know. I mean, I know he just got to Seattle, but I almost wouldn't blame him to go back there. Obviously, he was a graduate. He worked under Superior, and it's kind of a funny story how that came about. He was a student worker for Superior, just kind of, I don't know, doing his thing, kind of messing around, getting through school. Ends up graduating, and he puts Post-it notes on Superior's car for 400 days and ends up getting a position as a grad assistant under Superior at Florida. So he's got the ties there. I don't know if they've given him a call or not, but it almost seems like a match made in heaven, him being from there and having ties within the school. Yeah. That being said, let's get to some of the game here. Washington, they got a quarterback who, first time ever in program history, threw for 400 yards, rushed for over 100. That was 2 weeks ago against Rutgers, I believe. They are 16-1 at home since 2023, with that one loss being to Ohio State earlier this year as the number one team in the country. So that place is hard to play. They have a phenomenal stadium, excellent fan base. So this place will be rocking. It is the Jack and Jack special of the betting split, and it just doesn't seem right. With that being said, Illinois is coming off a bye. They lost before the bye to Ohio State. They've got 18 returning starters. Washington's won the last 4. I kind of like them in this spot. Another thing to note here is they traveled over early. So they will be getting there tomorrow night, and they have the Seattle Seahawks facilities on Friday. So that does take a little of the travel aspect out of this. And I almost wonder if the Jedd Fisch, Florida, might be knocking on the door. Does he get a little distracted this week with Florida just firing Billy Napier? I don't know. I'm going Illinois plus the 4.5. I love them in this spot. Them coming off a bye. They lost their game before. I just think there's a lot of stuff that adds up here. I'm going Illinois plus the 4.5.
Yeah, you might have convinced me there. I'm going to have to look into it a little bit more, but I feel like the travel is not quite as hard when you're coming off a bye, too, because you know it's coming. You been able to get your R&R, your beauty sleep, and you're ready to go over there. I like that they went over there early too. So might have to
Yeah.
reconsider where I'm leaning here on that
Yeah,
game.
I saw that, and then the coaching stuff. I don't know. There's just a lot of things that I think work in Illinois' favor here, and them and Washington are, in my eyes, pretty close on
Yeah,
the skill that they've got on the roster.
great.
So we'll see how that one works out. Get my official prediction will be Illinois plus the points. I don't know where it's going to land. I don't even know what it's at now, but you'll see Jack's on the card whenever that comes out on the Instagram. Let's see. Do you have a specific game you want to go to next, Jack, or what are you thinking?
Let's go BYU Iowa State, and then we can wrap her up with some SEC action maybe if you're good with that. I
Yeah,
can kick this one
absolutely.
off. Yeah, this is BYU with a huge win last week. They beat Utah's 3.5 point dogs at home. You and I were both on Utah there, and I think the score was actually a little closer than the game was. BYU kind of smoked them. Utah had a really tough time moving the ball. And then Iowa State started off hot. I was kind of riding their ass for the first 3 weeks on the spread, and they were treating me pretty well. But they're the 2.5 point favorite. So this is the definition of the Jack and Jack system here. And I got to go Iowa State here. I have to follow it. This is to a T what you are looking for is like a top 10-ish team playing at an unranked team. And something about 2.5 on that line is like the perfect number that I try to find.
Yeah, this is very similar to the game we just talked about with Illinois and Washington. You've got a weird travel. How do you get from Provo to Ames? I imagine there's buses involved. I will say that. I don't. I imagine there's buses involved when you go from Provo to Ames. It's not a direct flight. Maybe you can fly somewhere and then bus from there. I don't know how that works. And then, like you said, lower team favored against a higher echelon team. You've got the team that's favorite, that's supposed to be lower, coming off a bye, which they're also coming off a loss prior to that with Colorado. So it's the same as Washington. Same as Illinois. They lost to Ohio State. They go into a bye. Now they go on the road, tough travel spot to Washington. Iowa State lost to Colorado, had a bye. Now going weird travel spot, not for them. They're at home. But I love it. BYU coming off the Holy War, huge rivalry game. They get it done. It's a confidence builder, but I think it's also maybe a letdown spot the next week because you put so much time and effort into those rivalry games. And so, yeah, all day. Iowa State minus the 2.5. The other thing to note about this, that the only part that does scare me is Iowa State's 5-0 in this series. They've never lost. So that is the only thing that, maybe that gets BYU up for this. But at the same time, they just played their game last week in a massive rivalry game, and Iowa State coming off a bye at home. Give me Iowa State, get right spot in the conference play here. Try and get yourself somewhat back up in that conversation for the Big 12 Conference Championship.
Yeah, these two teams I know the rankings off, but in my mind, they're actually very similar. Kind of probably not at top of the Big 12, but also you sure as hell don't want to play them on the road.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, that should be a fun one. Iowa State minus the 2.5 from both of us there on the same side, so I like that. Moving on. Well, the rest of the games we got here, it looks like it's all SEC. So this is where I make my money. We'll go. If it's anything like last week, we should go 3-0 in these. Let's go here. Number 3, Texas A&M, a team I've talked about all year, going on the road to a place we visited a few weeks ago, down to the Bayou, Death Valley, Texas A&M, favored by 2.5, LSU plus 125 on the money line, total of 48.5, kind of a low total. Texas A&M coming off a 2024 victory in this series, and LSU leads the series 36-24 with 3 ties. There will be a drone show in Death Valley. I got the email on that. So
Kind of sad we didn't get one of those, honestly.
yeah. But this one is like this is the biggest game of the season so far for LSU as far as like I mean, it is the biggest game, but then they also have it at home. It's 5:30 Mountain Standard kick, so 6:30 their time. It will be dark and it will be loud and very, very fun environment in LSU. I almost wish we were at this game instead.
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, we've kind of said the same thing for the last few weeks. Is LSU has not looked good in this spot at all. I mean, they haven't. The offense hasn't looked good. I don't know if Nuss is banged up. They're coming off a loss in Nashville last week against Pavia, the pisser. That being said, it just feels like a get up spot. Like LSU, I don't trust them at all. I know the home field has something to do, but this line seems weird. Like in my eyes, Texas A&M should be 5.5, 6.5, 7 point favorites in this game, just because LSU is really not all that good. They do have a good defense. Texas A&M's got a really good offense with Marcel Reed, maybe one of the best O-lines in the country. They've looked phenomenal up until this point, but that's just it. They've looked phenomenal, and they're only favored by 2.5 here. Seems fishy. LSU plus 2.5. Let's go.
Yeah, no, I like that. I wore this hat for a reason. I'm going with LSU. I hate it, and that's why I like it.
Exactly.
I was going to ask you, is there an atmosphere that has more effect on the spread than LSU at home at night? I think it's worth 3 points at least on the spread. I mean, is there an atmosphere in your mind that like you think just strictly dictates a line more than LSU at home?
We obviously haven't seen them all yet. We're working on it. Trust us. We will get them all done. But
in 30 years.
But from what I see on social media and from what I've experienced so far, LSU's pretty high up on there on the list. The only other ones that I can kind of think is like, I honestly think Bama's kind of underrated.
Yeah.
I think Bama's awesome. I think Tennessee's great, but when it comes to influencing a line, it's all about volume of people. To me, you need people, and anything in that like 100,000, you got to be close to that 100,000 mark to have that much influence. So,
yeah, no, I'm on the same boat. It's just such a disgusting pick because LSU has not looked good at all. Vandy looked just straight up like the better team. The fact that game was even as close as it was kind of lucky for LSU. They just had a couple of big plays. Here's the one thing on Texas A&M, and I'm not discounting the Notre Dame win on the road because that is one of the best wins of the year. Their SEC wins so far are Auburn, Mississippi State, Florida, and Arkansas. Those teams combined have one conference win. So it's been a little bit since they've played an opponent on LSU's level. It's one of those games where it's a weird strength on strength with Texas A&M's offense, I think, being the best part of their team versus LSU's defense, which is clearly the best part of their team. And then it's kind of a weakness versus weakness on the other side of the ball. I'm going LSU. I don't know why. I honestly don't know why.
I'm surprised you are because doing my research on this game, I was like, oh, I'm going LSU here, and I might surprise Jack pretty heavily because I didn't think you were I knew you weren't very high on LSU, but the fact that we're both pulling them out here is absolutely shocking. I didn't think that we would be doing this at all. Yeah, so it doesn't make sense, and that's why we like it. And maybe that's why I went 3-4 last week, and 3-4 the week before, and 3-4 the week before. But we like it. Like I said, if it's anything like last week, we'll have good luck on these SEC games. Moving on to another SEC game. Missouri, number 15, going on the road to Nashville to take on number 10, Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt laying 2.5 here in this situation with a total of 52. College game day will be there. And let's see. Missouri 12-4-1 in this series, and they've won the last 5. And I think that's all you really need when it comes to Diego Pavia and this Vanderbilt team is just some sort of bulletin material on how to get these guys going. And I think Missouri winning the last 5 is just that. Missouri coming off a very late game on Saturday that went into double OT. Absolute killer for Jack. And they beat Auburn. This is also going to be their second road game in a row. They go to Auburn. They now go to Nashville to take on Vandy. Vandy coming off a big win. It feels like momentum's really working in their favor. And the only thing I had to bring up against this is because this is the same spread as last week with LSU.
Yeah.
In your eyes, who's better, LSU or Missouri?
Well, I even asked you this when we were just chatting after getting our own recap after the week, and I was like, they're pretty much saying Missouri and LSU are the same team. And then I said it out loud, and I was like, maybe they are about the same team. Honestly. So this is weird that it's 2.5 again. I would have, in my opinion, I would have thought Vandy would have been more like 5.5, 6.5. But that's just my thought on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really know either. It does seem like they're pretty close. Maybe LSU has a slight edge over them. I just like Vandy, man. It seems like they're getting it rolling and they're really playing up to criteria, up to what everyone wants at this point. So for me, it's going to be pretty cut and dry simple here. Vandy minus 2.5. I'll get your pick, and then I want one more. I got one more talking point on our favorite player in college football.
Yeah, this game is so weird. The line, I literally called you about it on Monday when I saw it, and I was like, this is the exact same line that Vandy just had. And I think Vandy treated me well last week with them being my lock, and I think I'm just going to run it back with them again. Missouri's SEC wins are Auburn and South Carolina, and then their best win besides that is Kansas. So they still haven't really beat anybody who's as good, if not better, than Vandy. And I think Vandy and Pavia are kind of going to turn into America's team. A little bit like ASU in a way last year. I just think everybody's going to be liking Vandy. Pavia's almost gotten to must-watch TV at this point. And the dude's just a playmaker. And I like him making a couple more plays than Perbula here. Give me Vandy, the Doors, minus 2.5.
Oh, when Johnny Manziel's wearing your jersey at your game, then there's something to be said about that.
Ripping the vape on the sideline.
Let's see here. I mean, we all can kind of agree, Pavia's damn near 40 years old now, so he's getting to the end of his college career, and I think we can all agree that he's probably not an NFL guy. I did see that if Pavia can play pro football, he wants to. If he can't, I heard he's a good wrestler. Pro wrestler. He's a state champ in New Mexico for wrestling. 3-time state finalist. Get him out there on the mats. Come on.
We need some new Olympians.
He's got the heart of a lion. There's nobody that can stop him.
I don't. Find me another podcast that's bringing you that kind of information. Please do.
Let's see. One last game before we dive into a couple highly anticipated FCS matchups. Number 8, Ole Miss. Plus 170 on the money line, going to Norman to take on number 13, Oklahoma. Oklahoma laying 4.5. I think this might be up to 5.5 by now. Total of 54.5. Ole Miss is 2-0 in this matchup, and they're coming off a big loss last week to Georgia, one of the best games of the weekend with all that scoring that we saw. This also is back-to-back road spots for a young quarterback that in Trinidad Chambliss. But I don't know. Ole Miss has a very, very good offense, very dynamic offense, and it's kind of what you were talking about with LSU and Texas A&M with strengths playing to strengths and weaknesses playing against weaknesses, and that's a really good dynamic offense with Ole Miss and a really, really solid dominant defense in Oklahoma. Oklahoma's allowed over 13 points only one time this year, and that was to Texas. And I don't even think that's a spot that you can blame their defense. Like Mateer had 3 picks. That makes it a short field, easy to score. Punt return, obviously. But I just think this Oklahoma team, that Texas game was maybe like a one-off. Like Mateer wasn't fully there, and now we're seeing Mateer and Oklahoma, now that he's back, build on some of that momentum that we saw in the first 4 weeks, and they get better and better every week. Mateer is getting healthier and healthier every week with that hand. I just think that Texas game was a one-off. Like, just throw it away. Who cares? Rivalry game, neutral site. Your quarterback's not there. Whatever. You lost that game. Now it's time to just go take over. I'm so high on Oklahoma here. I locked this in already before it had moved. I have them at Oklahoma minus 4.5. The other thing here that I saw is Ole Miss has taken 75% of the tickets as a big public dog. So I love this spot for Oklahoma and fading the public here.
Yeah, this was for me the toughest game on the card to pick for all the reasons that you said. And it's funny that you said the strength on strength, because I wrote those were my 2 main notes for the LSU game and this game, where Ole Miss's offense showed they're legit against Georgia and the Cougs. And Oklahoma's defense, like you said, I mean, South Carolina was barely even getting first downs last week. That was about as easy of an under as you could have there. I'm kind of leaning Ole Miss, but I don't love it. I don't have anything booked in on this game yet. For the pod right now, I'll just say Ole Miss, kind of change it up. The thing that really concerns me about Ole Miss is they fought their hearts out last week, and it kind of felt like it was a kitchen sink spot where they threw everything they had at that game. Can they get back up on the road? Tough environment being at Oklahoma. I don't know. I haven't made my official prediction on this, but my gut tells me Ole Miss. Who knows what my brain's going to think when I stare at this for 15 minutes tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll just lean Ole Miss for the pod for now, but you could see an Oklahoma play come out of me as well.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this defense is just very impressive to me. It's a really, really tough back-to-back road games for Ole Miss. So, and I'm high on Oklahoma. They get better every week. Mateer's getting healthier every week. Oklahoma all day. That'll be fun. We got a good card this week. I feel pretty good about some of my plays. I'm all spreads for all 6 of these games. So we'll see how it goes. We've got 3 SEC games. What do we got? 2 Big Ten and
Big 12er.
One Big Ten and 2 Big 12.
Yep.
Looks like it.
Yep. 2 Big 12s with the Kansas State game.
Perfect.
That game's on TNT, by the way. The Kansas State game. Never seen that before.
Oh yeah, that is weird. Well, I think before we get into our favorite segment and get some of these plays out that we like to feature every week with the Lock Dog Parlay, we wanted to go to a couple FCS games, and the reason being, 1, because you get a rivalry game and 2 of the best teams in the FCS, and then 2, you get some shit talk and just some good old-fashioned back and forth between administrative positions, coaching staff in the Montana Grizzly game. So let's start it off with the Dakota Marker, SDSU, NDSU, in Brookings, South Dakota. SDSU catching 4.5 as a home dog here in this spot. Both teams, I believe, are 7-0, going in undefeated in this game. And this rivalry dates way back to 1903, where NDSU took the crown in the first ever matchup, 85-0. Oh my God. NDSU leads this series with 65 wins, 47 losses, and 5 ties. 85-0 in the first ever matchup back in 1903. What a day. I don't know where to go with this. I think NDSU's pretty good. I think they're probably gearing up for another natty run. I don't know. They are on the road. I don't know a whole lot of FCS football, but I'll give you a play just to see if it hits. And I'm just going to go with the home dog, SDSU, plus the 4.5. I don't really know much about it, but we briefly wanted to talk about this game just because it is such a highly anticipated matchup.
Yeah, this game is great. I already did a little rant that I thought game day should go here. I also think with this game, with the way the FCS playoffs is structured, probably not the only time we'll see this matchup. Could be a potential national championship. I love Bryce Lance, Trey Lance's younger brother. He's a stud wideout for NDSU. I'm going to go with the Bison here, and it's only because I know South Dakota State lost a lot. And the only reason I know that is because they're all playing for my team over at Washington State. We pretty much took South Dakota State with us. We took their coach, we took their staff. This is going to be a very exciting game, though. I want to get this on the quad box. I want to be watching it. I'll go NDSU for the pod, minus 4.5. Fun game. And probably a national championship preview, if we're being honest.
Yeah, I think so. And then the Grizz game. I mean, Grizz Sac State down in Sacramento. We've seen some back and forth. Their president, I don't know, basically saying that the Grizz haven't played anybody, and I don't really know what it's all about. And then Bobby Houck responds. There's a press conference where the reporter asks a Grizz player about this, and Bobby intervenes, saying that's not a question for the players, and then goes on to answer it by calling their president a clown. So there is some bad blood with this, and I didn't really see it coming. Obviously, Sacramento State has a very high share of NIL, and they have
Yeah.
transformed that program a little bit with some of these big names and very high paid players in college football. Rashada, oh God, the quarterback from Georgia, I believe he is at Sacramento now. And then their basketball program is taking off. They're moving out of the conference, right?
Yeah, I don't know exactly. They were trying to negotiate their way into the Pac-12. I don't think they quite got into that, the new Pac-12. They didn't quite get into that, but they're trying to move up. I don't know where it's exactly at right now, conference-wise.
Yeah. I haven't seen a line on this game. The Grizz are undefeated. I think, what are they, 4-3? 3 and
Yeah, they've been a little. Their record's a little underwhelming. Let me see.
yeah.
This is also a Friday game, ESPN2, super late. Yeah, they're 4-3, 2-1 in the Big Sky, and let's see. Their loss in the Big Sky was to Cal Poly at home. Ew.
Yikes.
Yeah, I saw it. Funny that you said. Was it the athletic director or the president said that they're playing the Montana Pandas. Like,
Yeah, that's right. I did see that.
I
Yeah.
I like the Grizz here. I'm very biased, of course. The Grizz are my hometown team. My parents went to Montana, so I'm gonna ride with the Grizz here. But I love this game's on a Friday. Kind of can lock into it a little bit.
Yeah. I am not really a Grizz fan, but I do like the Grizz in this spot. They've already proven that they can win on the road a little bit with that Idaho State game and a comeback victory. That was a really good win by Montana. I just think that they're probably a better team. I'm not, like I said, I'm not super high on the Grizz, but I think this is a good spot for them, especially with all the drama that it brings with it. Spread's not out. Maybe it is. I haven't seen it. If I had to put a line on it, I would guess it's probably Montana by 4.5, and I would take them there. So that is what the play would be on that FCS game.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one.
Will be a fun one. Getting into Lock Dog Parlay. Great segment. We are battling, you and I, 5 and 4 on our locks here. I am very excited for this week. I need a winner. I think I've dropped 2 in a row now for the last 2 weeks on locks. So I'm looking to bounce back here. I'll start us off, and there's really a lot that I like. But I think the one that I like the most, God, I really like a lot of them. I really like Kansas. I really like Iowa State. I really like Oklahoma. But I think I'm going to go Iowa State minus 2.5 as my lock.
All right,
I
can
bet
see
it.
that.
I
like
bet it
that.
on Monday. So
It floated up to Iowa State 3.5, and now it's back down to 2.5. So I think you got it at a good spot. Get
okay.
it under that. Get
I
it
saw
under
it
that
come
field
out.
goal.
and I immediately hopped on it. So it's got to be my lock.
It's the Jack and Jack system play. It really is. For my lock here, I'm not going to go with it, but I considered it hard. I thought so much about going with Mississippi State plus 7.5 at home against Texas.
Dude, I love
Texas
it.
is just, they're just not good. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
they're not. But that's not the point of this segment. I am just straight running it back. I'm going Vandy again, minus 2.5 at home. They haven't let me down yet. And cheering on Pavia is about as fun of a bet as you can have out there. So Vandy minus 2.5 at home against Missouri. Let's do it. Doors up.
Yeah,
Doors
I
closed,
love
man.
that.
That's what it should be.
And and that's like sometimes when you get on, you find one of those. These teams get on heaters when it comes to covering the spread. I mean, it's a whole covering the spread is a whole different aspect of the game than winning the football game and looking good in the football game and doing all the football things that you're supposed to do. But sometimes you get on those heaters where these teams just go on a tear of covering the spread, or maybe they're plus 10.5 and they cover the spread. But I like it. Running back Pavia, like you said, it's so fun rooting for him. So it's a great cheer play.
Yeah. And
Moving on.
is it a 130 kick? I think.
I think
Yeah,
so.
130 spot.
Yeah. Moving on to dog, and I briefly touched on this earlier. The dog is 0-7 for me. It's been rough, and we've had a lot that have been on the hook and have just swung the other way.
Yeah.
And I really don't have many words for it, but it's absolutely devastating. You have no idea what I've been going through. Uh, with that being said, we're swinging towards the fences, and we're going with Chapel Bill, North Carolina, at home against Virginia. Blue Chew Bill, North Carolina Tar Heel money line. Let's go.
Blue Chew, Bill. You think they get like a Tar Heel Blue Chew? A little different tint. I love that play. Hey, we didn't talk about it. My Cougs had Virginia on the ropes last week.
Hey, it's just, I don't know. They're 10.5 point dogs. They're like plus 350, but we're value play from here on out, man. Come on.
I like it. I love
And
it. Honestly, that's awesome.
they're
And then the
looking
one that
better. They didn't look horrible against Cal. They probably could have won that game with not fumbling. They're obviously things are working out better than they were in week one. Let's just put it that way. And it's not a spot that I would recommend anybody betting. Virginia is very good, but it's such a weird spot. We see it every week with a massive upset that nobody expects, and I think this could be it.
Yeah, no, I like it. And I was kind of stuck between swinging for the fences or going with what weirdly my gut is telling. I'm not going to go with the fences play. I should have done it last week with Minnesota. My fences play was going to be Mississippi State over Texas. Just can't
Love
stand
it.
Texas. But I'm going with the Tigers. I think this is the ultimate get up spot. It's kind of a weird rivalry game, Texas A&M and LSU. I always think of that 7 overtime battle that pretty much forced college football to change the rule of overtime. So I'm going to go LSU. I think they're plus 125. LSU night game. That's my reasoning. LSU night game.
I love it. So we've got Brian Kelly and we've got Chapel Bill rocking with our underdogs. Getting into the parlay, we've only got 2 of us this week. So do we want to go a 2-leg parlay or do we want to go a 3-leg parlay like we've been doing?
I mean, I don't know. We did just win a 3-legger, but we could go 2-leg with a little less juice in the 2 games. I don't know.
Or a little more juice. Get a little risky and only go 2 legs.
I guess that's what I meant.
Oh.
Lower odds. Yeah, you're right. Though. Little
Yeah.
more juice is the correct way to say it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for that.
Should we just start building?
Yeah, let's
Let's
see,
do 2-legger and let's go a little lower.
I mean, we could go with another underdog, like one that we haven't picked. And what if we just go with Mississippi State plus 7.5 as one of the legs?
I like it, dude. I want to have something on Mississippi State. That play just sticks out to me.
I think I saw it at 7, but I would really like 7.5 if we can get it.
ESPN's showing 7.5 right now, so we might have to jump on this right away once we hop
Okay.
off here. But I like it. Let's do Mississippi State plus the points.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that, and then I mean we can go to something off the card here. I don't hate getting away from the card. One thing I do kind of like, and we can kind of sit on it for a while. I think the line tells you everything you really need to know, and I'm also open to suggestions. But Iowa, they're laying like 8.5. It makes no sense. I think it moves down to like 7.5. Honestly,
Are you thinking points with points?
I mean we could go points or
Or
we could go money line or whatever you want to do. Is there any other games that you are eyeing? There is Auburn, Arkansas. That's a really good game with juice.
I kind of like. Do you like Arkansas in that spot?
I got Arkansas -1 already booked.
I'm good with just going Arkansas money line.
Let's do that. Yeah, let's do Mississippi State and Arkansas money line at home.
Love it. We're going to the down south.
Bobby
It's our conference.
Bobby Petrino is changing that program for the better, bringing it back to life. They almost beat Texas A&M last week. Their offense looks great. Defense is a weakness in the program as of right now, but they look good. They look better than they have looked under Sam Pittman for the first 4 or 5 games of the year, and I'm happy with rocking them against Auburn for sure. It should be a very close game. Like we said, Auburn gets right up to it every time and just can't seem to pull it out. This time they're going on the road, so.
Yeah, if I have to watch Jackson Arnold take another game-losing sack on like 4th and 3, I
don't think he's
might
playing.
jump off my patio.
I don't think he's playing.
Benched or injured?
I think he might be benched, but I'm not positive on that. You know how college football news is. It's kind of tough to find a definitive decision up until kickoff, but I don't think Jackson Arnold's going to play.
All right, I like that parlay. Mississippi State plus 7.5 and Arkansas money line. Probably be what, plus 250, honestly. Like,
Should be good value.
yeah. Let's go 2 in a row.
2 in a row. I love it. I love it. This should be a great week. I feel good in the plays. We've got some fun games on Friday night, and then a couple decent games on Saturday. So stay tuned with the picks that we'll put out here shortly later on this week once we finalize all the numbers. But if you made it this far, thanks for listening. Go Irish.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Go Cougs.